Good morning, everybody. Orange J here with another Etheria restart video, and it is finally time to do my launch day tier list for Etheria restart. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take all of my experience from the last beta, from the test server where I got to play with characters like at the true in-game, from your guys' feedback, from the last patch notes with the buffs and the nerfs, and make a tier list of how much I value all of these characters. Now, I'm not somebody who's going to put a bunch of characters in tier 0. I think tier 0 is reserved for like the best 3 to 5 characters in the game, and that's all I'm going to put up there. But I do have some adjustments to make. I'm going to move some people up and down. This is where I had them at the last beta. Let's make some movements. Now, I'm going to adjust a few things first. Heinrich is going to go over here as support. I think he is the second best support character in the game behind Lily. They are, in fact, the best 2 characters I think you can get in the whole game. Lily is number 1, Heinrich is number 2, and if you wanted to argue with me about moving them, like switching their 1 and 2 spot, I would hear that argument. Like, they are just the best 2 characters in the game. And then I think there's a bit of a drop off from them. Not like a huge drop off, because I'm still going to keep Messiah in tier 0. And he is, in my opinion, the best DPS character in the game. Now, he might not be for like the gear farming, the module farming. He might not be the best DPS for any one of those fights, but in almost all of them, he's the second best DPS. And he probably is the best like pure DPS class for PvP. He can do massive AoE damage. He can do massive single target damage, and he makes himself invulnerable for a turn after using his skill 3 or after killing somebody. Absolutely busted unit in PvP, and I think his light element status elevates him over some of the other really good DPS units in the game. So tier 0, and those are the best 3 characters that I think in the game. My opinion on that did not change from the last beta, but my opinion on a lot of other characters did. The next adjustment I want to make is Hoyon. I had her in tier 2 thinking like, we'll see what changes they give her if she becomes better or worse. Their changes are just taking her out of the game for now, so she gets deleted and put in jail down there at the bottom of the screen. So Hoyon's going to hang out in tier list jail until we get an update that she's actually put back in the game, and I do think they'll make some changes to her kit. Okay, now let's start doing some tier list updates. The first update I'm going to do is with Chloros right here. I got him going up. His buffs were great. And Pridewind, look, if you went to Pridewind's like DPS meter, they have him like up here, like tier negative 5,000. Because in a sustained fight, this dude's DPS is absolutely top tier. The problem is many fights in this game are designed not to be long sustained fights. So his I think there's more or as much value in somebody's like a Leon who can steal a bunch of turn meter and do a bunch of AoE damage. But look, I just haven't seen a lot of Chloros. I get that he's better now, and that's why I'm shoving him up a tier. And if this game's been out for 3 weeks, 2 weeks, something like that, and I do a tier list update and he's just popping off in PvP and leading leaderboards and like Terramaton and stuff like that, boom, he can shoot up this list as high as he can justify being. For now, I'm just being a little conservative with how fast I'm moving him up, but I am going to move him up to like a super respectable spot. Like tier 1, if you're tier 1 on this list, you are a character that can just pop off and like help carry some accounts. So Chloros moving up. Now, speaking of moving up, guys, Shadow Sonya, I kid you not, belongs in tier 0.5. She might not be the best PvP character in the game. I get that. But if you care about farming, and farming is pretty important for PvP, she is probably the best farming character in the game. Look at like if you pull her on day 1, you might not build her right away. And I get that because she's not going to be a character that transforms your account on the first day. But when you're farming most of the hardest shell fights in this game, when you're farming Aurora, the 3rd module boss, best character, boom, right there, she's it. She will make your farm times super, super fast, which means you can just streamline what you're doing in a day. And for many of us, that's really important. So because she is, in my opinion, the best or one of the best farming characters in the game, boom, tier 0.5. I don't have her in tier 0 because she doesn't work in all content. If she worked in all content, like if dot teams annihilated all content in the game, she'd be tier 0. Because they do not, tier 0.5. I'm open to changing that if like maybe she falls off, but I don't see it. Okay. Next up, Fangus. Now the Fangus, I got him going up, but I'm going to rearrange this whole tier 2. I'm going to move Victor to the bottom of tier 2. I'm going to move Ditting to the top of tier 2. And I'm going to put Fangus in the middle of tier 2. Here's my reasoning behind all of this. So Victor got nerfed. I don't know how bad those nerfs are going to be in practice, but they looked kind of bad on paper. In fact, they looked bad enough that I'm going to move him in actuality down to tier 3, because most of my tiers, like, I don't mean for these things to run left to right. If I say that they do, then they do. But for the most part, just consider people in a tier where I have them. Look, Victor's not terrible. Like, I'm not dumping him down to tier 4, but he only does single target damage. He's still going to be really easy to use. He'll still probably do a lot of single target damage, and maybe he can exist on tier 2 again when the game goes live. Didding, though, is now better than him. And so if you want a single target SR character, I think Didding is the guy. And Fangus, I'm moving him up to tier 2 because of how well he works in that dot team with Shadow Sonya. His passive ability to keep reapplying dots all the time makes him like the best dotting character that we have that's an SR, so I think he goes up into that tier 2 area. A great character to build. Him and Didding both, I think, are great characters to build that you can play around a lot. Okay, now I'm gonna look, let's keep looking in this DPS slot for a while. Is there anybody else that I want to move around over here? No. Okay, I think I'm done with the DPS category for now. So let's move over to the control category. What kind of movement do we have over here? Now, I have Marvel hopping down a tier, which, by the way, I think is a very great spot for an SR character to be. And I think this was the purpose of the devs' last patch notes. Like, if you read through that, they nerfed, in particular, they nerfed a lot of people's turn meter pushback. They hurt that a lot for many characters. One in particular got completely ignored. I'm all about that. But Marvel's turn pushback did get hurt. His overall utility went down a little bit, but guess what? I still think he's as good as like many of the SSR characters in this game. And if you want to play Marvel, play Marvel. He's still going to pop off for you. I just don't think he's like tier 0.5 broken SR character anymore. So I'm happy to move him down a little bit. Now, I'm going to do another little swap right here. I'm going to put Obel down into tier 2 and put Veronica up into tier 1. Here's the deal. Obel, he didn't really get nerfed or anything. I just played with him a lot, and he just wasn't as reliable at landing his stun. Now, I'm not going to move him down to like tier 3 because he does still have AoE crowd control and AoE dots. So you can use him in multiple different team comps. I just don't think he's as good of like a control character as somebody like Kraken is. Even though Kraken did just get nerfed, Kraken just felt better to use to me. We'll see if that doesn't change with like Kraken's nerfs. Maybe Obel's like on the come up or something like that. But I'm going to bump Obel down just a little bit right there. Okay, Selence is somebody who also needs to come down a little bit, and I'm going to do a little surprise move. I actually think that our girl, Valerian, couldn't remember her name for a second for some reason, priority on the rise a little bit right here. So I'm going to move her up, and I'm going to move Selence down. I want to say a couple things about both of them. Selence might have a spot like in some really OP bruiser teams or something. I was very surprised that she was not buffed in the last patch notes. She was a character that I was absolutely thinking would receive some love. They just didn't. So do they know something that I don't? Maybe, but I haven't seen it yet. So I'm going to bump her down to tier 2. What I will say right now is if I pull a Rahu and I'm trying to build this like bruiser team and I can put a Selence in there, for PvP, that might be nuts. Like, imagine getting massive AoE attack on you and you like absorb and reflect a bunch of it from a bunch of defense stacking characters. That could be OP in like longer sustained fights. The meta's not there yet, so maybe her meta isn't just here. I'm gonna move her down to tier 2 as one of the lower ranking SSR characters in the game. But I got hope for my girl. Okay, and then for Valerian, I've just seen her work. I've seen her work and people are raving about how good she is. So fine, I'm going to move her up to tier 1. Her ability to sustain, her ability to like not be blown off a map in a fight and like just kind of bring herself back into the fight. I do think it's value there. And a lot of people are going to have her because if you spend $1, you're going to get to play her right away. So we'll get to see if Valerian actually deserves that tier 1 spot or if I need to bring her back down. But I thought she was kind of like a shadow winner in the patch notes because while some other supporting characters got nerfed, she kind of didn't, and so maybe rises in priority a bit. I'm gonna also keep Dina and Kraken in tier 1. I think Dina deserves the tier 1 spot still for sure. She got nerfed a little bit, but she's still gonna do her thing. Kraken is on tier 2 watch list though. Like if his nerfs hit him too hard, he's going to drop a little bit. And I'm very happy to see Veronica going up. I think her ability to like automatically now distribute her buffs to the whole team makes her insane. for like PvP, but I still don't know where you're going to use her in PvE. Like, well, I don't know. I don't know that I see it in PvE as much. Maybe somebody will prove me wrong there. I love her design up to tier 1. Okay. Anybody else in this tier need to move around at all? Ah, yes. Okay. Kazuyo the Reverie. It's time to make some room on tier 1, friends. Let's scoot some of these pictures over because Kazuyo is coming up, and she's coming up for a reason. Here's the deal with her. I'm going to send her back behind Captain Marvel there. Okay. She is the best character at supporting for Doki Doki. I'm leaving Kraken in here because like his freeze is what everybody used to use. I think in my opinion now, she's probably better than Kraken at that one fight. Her issue is if you're using her in other game modes, her crowd control doesn't stick. Like she does sleep. Sleep doesn't stick if you get hit by the enemy. So in like PvP, it'd be really cool to put people to sleep, but you'd have to put people to sleep and then make sure you didn't just wake them up before it's their next turn. It does give a damage buff. If you're able to like then do your big DPS into them, you'll hit harder. But I still value a freeze, I think a little bit more than a sleep, but Doki Doki is a massively important farm, and man, oh man, will she put some folks to sleep in Doki Doki and knock that buff. So I'm very happy to shoot her up a little bit. Now, notice I'm not going to move number 41 down. I know she got nerfed. She was too good for an SR or for an R rarity unit. I probably had her too low. She probably could have been tier 2 on my last tier list. And then I would have moved her down to tier 3. She's good, guys. If you're a number 41 fan, you can absolutely still build her. I just think now she's more of a bridge until you catch like a Marvel or a Lily or a Chiaki the Echo or somebody like that. So I'll just keep her there. She's actually in the wrong category. I'm going to move her over to support. I think she fits more over there anyway. So this is a good opportunity to readjust some folks as we go into launch. Okay, so those are my thoughts on all of those characters. Anybody else here I want to move around? I don't think so. Oh yeah, control Viper. Ooh, man. Okay, Viper needs to move up, and Viper might move up to here. Like Viper, look, this is a late game move. This is a late game move. Heinrich, here's my thought on this one, and y'all tell me if I'm crazy. Okay, Viper at tier 0.5. Heinrich is the best buff stripper in the game. The second best might be Viper. Now look, we got a new character. Notice the new characters aren't on here yet. And if we have easy access to an SSR character who's also a great buff stripper, maybe Viper goes down in value a little bit. But Mio, I think it's Mio. Yeah, Mio, our next SSR character, has buff stripping in her kit, I believe. Or maybe it's the SR character that does. One of them probably does. Their full kits like aren't revealed yet. And then when they are, I'll add them to this. But we got another buff stripper coming. If they are a better buff stripper than Viper, I think it does knock him down a little bit, but maybe to tier 1. But for now, Heinrich's going to be really hard for people to get. So Viper's going to be everywhere. You're just going to see Viper being built all the time. He doesn't live very long in tier 0.5, but at launch, I think he does. So massive love to Viper. He's moving up. And then, oh yeah, one more. Asu right here. He gonna move up to like tier 4. Here's the deal with him. If you're building the dot team because you pulled the Shadow Sonya and you don't have Obol, you have like maybe Fangus, Shadow Sonya, and you want another person to do dots, he can do that for you. He can do it. He has a use. He's not in tier 5. I'm useless. He goes up to tier 4. Congratulations, Asu. Maybe somebody will play you. Okay, let's move over to the support category. Now, I have Chiaki the Echo in the fall down a tier list, and I'm going to do that. And here's my reasoning. I now like her slightly better than Marvel, but like there's going to be people who disagree with me and I'll hear it. That's fine. I think she comes down a tier. Tier 1, in my opinion, is where great SR characters should live. And the tier 1 SR characters I have right here, I would call all of them potentially great SR characters with, maybe I just don't know about Marvel anymore. But Chiaki Echo wants to live there. And then Tsukiyomi, I want to move up to tier 0.5. She is one of the turn meter manipulation characters that did not get nerfed at all. She can still give somebody 100% turn meter boost while giving herself 35% turn meter boost and be a nice like follow-up DPS character to your team. I think there's going to be insane wombo combos that people come up with on launch for Tsukiyomi with like a Messiah or with like, I don't know, any other character on your team that just wants to go and go again. That's your girl. So very excited to see what combos people come up with for her. I'm going to move her to tier 0.5 and Chiaki the Echo will live in tier 1 kind of by herself right now. Other adjustments I want to make here, I don't really see any of. I know Freya got nerfed. I still think she's going to be Freya. Rahu, dude, If Rahu hits as hard as I think he's going to hit, he definitely deserves a spot in tier 0.5. I got some pushback for having him up here last time. He smacked me in the PvP tournament, and he's better than he used to be. If he's good at farming like Doki Doki now, he absolutely deserves to be there. I think these two are great support characters as well. Rahu might be a DPS character now. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. He might need to do the opposite move that Heinrich did. We'll find out. All right. Anything else here I want to say? Nope. Okay, let's go to sustain. Tiamat. Look, I don't even have her on the move somebody down a tier list. I'm going to do it, man. Like, I think that Lingluo and Mia are better sustainers than Tiamat is. Now, hold a second here before you lose your minds. Tiamat is still going to do Tiamat things. So this is one of the rare times when I'm going to say, for like ease of play, I'm going to put them in like order here. I think Lingluo is the easiest of these characters to play. I think Mia is probably the second easiest. And Tiamat, you kind of just have to manual. If you're playing, okay, look, here you go, fine. Here's what I'm going to say about Tiamat. Manual Tiamat, tier 0.5. Auto Tiamat, tier 1. So how about I do that? She's going to hang out in the middle. She's going to be tier 0.75. Because y'all know, look, even you Tiamat fans know, Tiamat on auto leads with her taunt. That's not what you want her to do in PvP a lot of times. It's definitely not what you want her to do if she's going to solo sustain your team. You want her leading with her skill 2. If she's going to solo sustain your team, she's always going to lead with her skill 3. And if she's getting like, maybe you have Lily on your team, and if Lily auto does her skill 2 on Tiamat, Tiamat's going to taunt, then she's going to taunt again, and it's like, oh god, do your heal buff, Tiamat. We want the shield and the heal. Look, if you're manualing her, you don't run into those problems. So I'm going to put her at tier 0.75. Like, yeah, there. I think I'm over-explaining that. Sonya got nerfed a little bit. Mostly her bug got fixed where she's not going to be able to, like, do all of her, stuff from her passive if she's stunned or froze. Fine, she's still tier 1. Chiaki got buffed. She's still tier 2. And I still like the rest of what I've got here for that. So, guys, I think that's all the moves I wanted to make. I even made a couple, like, ones I just had in my head. I walked you through what I thought. Let me know how you feel about this list. I do think for DPS characters, Rosa and Real Mocha are great reroll targets if you're rerolling and you're not going for one of these like premium light dark characters. If you are rerolling, any of the light dark characters I think are worth keeping. And honestly, if I was rerolling and I hit any of the characters that I have in tier 0.5 outside of Lingluo, I would stay. Even Mia. I think Mia's nuts. Like she does so many things and will just make your account instantly better. But I can see the argument for not keeping her and just waiting for Lingluo, especially if you did pick up a Sonya or a Chiaki that could get you to day 7. I think the most important SR characters to pick up early are still Dina, Marvel, and Chiaki the Echo. Kazuyo the Reverie, you're definitely going to want to pick up by the time you start getting into like hard 3+ Doki Doki. You're going to want to start building her as soon as you can. Dot team, Fangus is your main guy. Single target DPS squad, Victor comes down a little bit. Didding still hanging out up there. Other than that, yeah, there's my list. Let me know what you disagree with. I'm sure there's plenty of people who have plenty of disagreement, and I'm open to hearing all of that. And not only will I'll read it, but I'll try to apply it and test it out. See if I can adjust my list a little. Okay, 18-minute video, longer than I wanted it to be, but let's go. The game comes out tomorrow by the time I'm uploading this video. Can't wait. See y'all in game. I'll catch you next time. Peace.